and welcome to TalkFCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And coming up in today's video, we are going to be assessing Barcelona's loanees. The 10 players right now that Barcelona have out on loan right throughout Europe at a number of different clubs. And we're going to be assessing, number one, how they've done this season, how they progressed. But number two, what chance do they have of returning this summer and having a future at the club? It's all coming up in today's video. Let's do it. And if we start first and foremost with Carlos Perez, a player there who technically left on loan in January to join Roma in Serie A, and in controversial circumstances too, because of course as soon as Perez departed, Dembele then got injured, and suddenly Barcelona, in the forward areas, we had nobody at all. But since arriving in Italy, Carlos Perez has made 7 appearances for Roma since signing, and that actually means there that Perez has appeared in every single game that he's been eligible for since he signed for Roma, although he is yet to be handed his first start in Serie A. He has started though in the Europa League, which is where he struck his first ever Roma goal, and it was a crucial winner too in Roma's Europa League round of 32 first leg, which is a really nice moment for him there, so much celebration. He was clearly happy there to be off and running, and I think Roma so far are very, very happy with the way that he's adapted and have high hopes for him for the future. And I do wish Perez all the very, very best. He didn't feel as though he got the opportunities at Barcelona. He didn't feel as though Barcelona still give their youth a chance. And to be fair, you've got to agree with him on that. He will not be returning to Barcelona at the end of this loan spell, with Roma obliged there. They have to activate their mandatory buy option, which will cost them 11 million euros plus a potential there of 3.5 million euros in add-ons as the deal progresses. And it'll be very, very interesting there to watch the career develop of Carlos Perez. We then move on to Marc Cucurella, who featured for the majority of the season as a left midfielder so far at Getafe under Jose Bordalas, in quite a similar role there to the one that he played at Eibar when he spent the season there on loan. And I think at Getafe right now, he's perfectly suited to that kind of position. You think of Cucurella, he's incredibly quick, he's so energetic, he can get from box to box, one end to another, so much energy on the pitch. And I think actually we're seeing this season Cucu improve his output in the final third. As an attacking player, as a left-sided winger now, he is starting to be much more productive in the final third. And of course, in terms of defensively, covering in for the fullback there, Getafe have been relying on him to provide cover in those kind of areas. And as we've spoken about recently, Cucurella is another player who will not be returning to Barcelona this summer. Getafe will be activating their 6 million euro buy option, with the idea there of either keeping hold of Cucurella for potentially more European football for Getafe next season, or they're going to sell him on there for some very decent profit, with a host of clubs, including Chelsea and Napoli, showing an interest right now, although as we've mentioned a few days ago, Barça will be eligible for 40% of any future transfer fee. And then there's Moussa Wagué, who of course joined Nice on loan in January for 500,000 euros, with Nice holding there a 10 million euro option to buy this coming summer. And Wagué went out on loan there after pretty much getting no chances under Valverde at Barcelona. And certainly so far, I think Wagué's time in France has been really, really positive. Because although he did start his first 3 Ligue 1 matches from the bench for Nice during his last 2 games, he's worked his way there into the first team, and he started both of them, and with good reason too. He's been very, very impressive of late, playing well in that right back area, and he's actually provided an assist there in each of those last 2 games. And it's going to be really, really interesting here to monitor the progress of Wagué when football does resume. Because I think there, if his form does continue, it's very, very possible that I think Nice do activate that 10 million euro option to buy. And if they do that, Barca then will hold a 15 million buyback clause until the summer of 2021. So Wagué, certainly, whatever happens, a player to keep an eye on. Then there's JUAN Miranda, the 20-year-old left-back who right now is in the first of a 2-year loan deal at Schalke, which was agreed back in the summer. And I'm not really sure right now that this loan deal has worked out for pretty much anybody that's involved in it. Not Barcelona, not really Schalke, and certainly not Miranda so far, which is really, really unfortunate. Because so far this season, throughout the entirety of the season, Miranda has made just 4 Bundesliga appearances for Schalke, only 2 of those coming from the start, and he really has struggled there to break into their first team so far. And like I say, that's a massive shame. Because you think about it there, JUAN Miranda, he's still just 20 years old right now. And this is a player who impressed at Barcelona B. He really impressed there at youth level internationally for the Spanish national side. And he was promoted probably too early. We all know about the fact that Miranda came into the first team, had a few games, didn't play particularly well, wasn't particularly confident, and then Valverde pretty much banished him from any kind of football. And suddenly now, he finds himself out on loan, sitting on the bench nearly every week. That's not good for him. You just think there, that's the worst possible 2 seasons that a player could have. And this for me actually is part of a wider issue at Barcelona, because we have so much young talent there coming through the youth level, coming through Barcelona B. People pretend there's no talent there, but there really, really is. The problem then is that integration from the B team to the first team, because so many players get lost in that process. They either get sent out on loan and it doesn't work out. We didn't think this loan deal through. We should have sent him there to a club who he had a real chance of playing week in, week out. Maybe they kept him in La Liga. One of the bottom sides in La Liga could have taken him on and he could have had some football. Because right now, this loan deal is not doing him any good whatsoever. And for me, if it's not going to improve next season, I would seriously think there about terminating this loan and evaluating there the future of JUAN Miranda, because he deserves better and his development will be suffering. And that there does bring us swiftly on to another Schalke loanee and somebody who's faring much, much better, even though he's been there for much less time, because of course we are going to discuss now Jean-Claire Todibo, who was of course ridiculously loaned to Schalke back in January. Even now, I'm still angry about the decision, because he wasn't just loaned, he was loaned with a 25 million option to buy, which is honestly scandalous right now. How on earth did we think that was a good idea? Because it's of no surprise to any of us that Todibo has gone out there to Germany. Schalke are a good side there. They're battling in the European places, but it's taken him no time to slot in there at the heart of their defence. He's featured in 7 of their last 8 games, and he hasn't only featured, he's played very, very well, and he's earned some great reviews there out in Germany, particularly after one of his recent performances against Bayern Munich, where he was outstanding. Absolutely brilliant. And you just think right now, how did we allow him to leave? Why loan him out? You look at our defence, are we doing well? Have we got an abundance of players there who are top quality and on top form? No, we haven't. So why did we loan him out? And worse still, Schalke could activate that option and keep him permanently, and we would have a buyback, but it's then 50 million euros. And suddenly, it's a costly error once again from Barcelona. This one frustrates me. Then there's Emerson, of course, on loan, technically at Real Betis, a player that right now we co-own with them. 21 years old, right back, who's started 23 of Real Betis' 27 La Liga games this season. He's been a constant feature in their team, and even though Betis haven't exactly been brilliant this season, Emerson quite comfortably has been one of their most consistent players, really impressing from that right back role, especially with an emphasis on going forward. Emerson has 3 goals and 5 assists in total in La Liga this season, which is a really good return for a fullback, and it's even more impressive when you consider there that Betis haven't exactly scored an abundance of goals. So Emerson is contributing there in the final third in a team who are not really a full-out attacking side. And I think that right now is probably the most exciting thing about Emerson. He's clearly talented, he's clearly got a lot of characteristics that I could see him easily slotting in at Barcelona, and you just think there, when he's surrounded by better players in a more attacking team, when he's getting into those positions time and time again, you think how good he could be. And I'm really excited to when he does return. I think it's inevitable that he does return to the Camp Nou, but it won't be happening this summer, because as I've explained before, the full Emerson case is on my channel if you want to go and have a look at that. But Emerson cannot be acquired until the summer of 2021. Only then will his loan deal at Betis come to an end, and then we can purchase him outright to have full control over the player and bring him back. But judging from what we've seen from him in La Liga so far, Emerson will be worth the wait. Then there's Oriol Busquets, who does seem to have been around for such a long time now, but he is still just 21 years old, and he's featured so far this season in the Eredivisie for FC20 for 21 of their 26 matches, and he's been pretty consistent too in what is a quite struggling team right now in Holland. And it's quite interesting because at Barcelona B, Oriol was mainly used in that holding midfield role, but in the Netherlands, he's actually been deployed there, sometimes in midfield, but also as a centre-back, which is very, very intriguing indeed. And it is going to be interesting come the summer exactly what Oriol's future is, because as it stands right now, he would be out of contract with Barcelona. It expires in June, the end of June there, which would bring to an end a 13-year stay at the club. And for a player, much like many before him, who he had high hopes for, who again, we were hoping there, could make that step up from the B team to the first team, it hasn't seemed to work out. Oriol right now, his future is uncertain. Then we move on to another La Masia man, RAFINHA Alcantara, because shortly after renewing his contract at Barcelona until 2021 this summer, RAFINHA finally joined Celta Vigo on loan until the end of the season, and despite Celta enduring quite a poor season by their standards, they're languishing right now just above the relegation zone. RAFINHA, much like Emerson at Betis, he's been very, very consistent, one of the brightest players without a shadow of a doubt. And although RAFINHA in La Liga this season has scored twice and provided 1 assist in his time, his overall contribution from midfield has been really, really good. And you've only got to look really at his display at the Bernabeu. Celta there went to the Bernabeu. He dominated that midfield. Really, really impressive display from him. And of course that day, Celta took 2 points off Real, which could turn out to be very crucial in the title race for Barcelona. But above all else, the one thing that I'm really, really happy about for RAFINHA is the fact that this season he's featured for 22 out of Celta's 27 games, which is fantastic. What we all want to see, regardless of whether it's Barcelona or elsewhere, we want to see RAFINHA there, out on the field, staying injury-free, and you've got to say there that if Celta survive in La Liga, there's a really good chance they make that move permanent, and RAFINHA, I think he'd be happy to stay there with the connections he has with the club. Another player currently out on loan in La Liga is none other than Carlos Alena, another loan deal that really, really did frustrate me at the time. Another player there who was deprived of minutes under Ernesto Valverde and left in January, because I think we all feel as though when Quique Setien came in, we were crying out for somebody there of the calibre and the profile of Carlos Alena. But look, he's out on loan, we're going to accept that. All we've got to hope is that he can come back in the summer and actually there integrate himself into this team, because I think actually his time at Betis, it's not been a waste of time. He's gone there and I think really developed. He's featured so far in all but one of their games since he joined in January, making 10 appearances for Real Betis. So quite clearly there, he's fitted in, he's slotted in. They've been really, really happy to have him. And I think the experience that he's gained at Betis will stand him in really good stead. Because you've got to think about it there. When we went to play Betis very recently, went to the Benito Villamarín, you think about the crowd. You think there about the atmosphere around that stadium. You think about a young player going and playing in front of that crowd week in, week out. That's going to help Alena. These constant minutes playing regularly in a La Liga team, that's going to help him grow there as a player. And of course against us, we saw only too well what he was capable of with a brilliant assist there for Nabil Fekir's goal. And with no buy option, of course, included in this deal, finally we did something right. Alena will be returning to the club this summer, and he's still only 22 years old. There's a big, big future still to be had for him, and I hope it's in a Barcelona shirt. And last but not least, arguably they're probably the most expensive player ever to be loaned out, it's Philippe Coutinho. He joined Bayern, of course, on loan back in the summer for a fee of 8.5 million euros. And much like his time at Barcelona, I would say, Coutinho hasn't really been able to show his best level consistently in Bavaria. Coutinho so far has featured in 22 of Bayern's 25 Bundesliga games, which isn't too bad, but only 15 of those have been from the start. And although in the Champions League he has featured a little bit more regularly, 5 out of their 7 games, but he did start from the bench in Bayern's 3-0 victory over Chelsea in their round of 16 first leg. And I think right now Coutinho is a difficult player to actually analyse, because you look at him, you look at his quality, you look at his skill set, he's a very, very talented player. But it's just not happening for him. And it doesn't seem to matter where he's going right now. He's not really firing on all cylinders. Because at Barcelona, it didn't go to plan. He wasn't really played in his preferred role. And then he goes to Bayern. He plays under 2 different coaches this season. And neither of those coaches really seem to fancy him. And even when he does go away on international duty with Brazil, he's just not quite at his best right now. His confidence doesn't seem to be there. He doesn't seem to feel comfortable, whether it be at Barcelona or at Bayern Munich. And I just think right now, it's a huge summer for Philippe Coutinho. Looking ahead there at his career, and of course to Barcelona too, because it's not all here about Coutinho. We paid an extraordinary amount of money to bring this guy in from Liverpool. Barcelona here need to make some decisions. They need to understand either what they can get out of Coutinho or what they can get for him. And that for me is the big, big question as we roll on now towards the transfer window. And finally, I should just mention there that Arda Turan was out on loan. Of course, he was in Turkey out on loan away from Barcelona, but he isn't any longer. Technically, he's back at Barcelona, but he's nowhere near training. He's not included there in the first team squad. And come the summer, his contract will be expiring and he'll be leaving. And that there is a comprehensive update with all of our players that are currently out on loan. 10 of them in total. Which ones do you see having a future at Barcelona? Which ones do you see being sold this summer? Let me know all of those thoughts in the comments down below, guys. A bit of a longer video for you here today. I hope that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you all the information on all the players. Thanks for watching and thanks for your support. I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, Visca! El Barça.